Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Notre Dame fans, whenever you are tuning in to this week's Notre Dame football show. Appreciate you for making us a part of your day. I'm Mike Singer. I run our YouTube operation as well as recruiting at blueandgold.com. And the handsome man with the fresh cuts next to me on your screen is Tim Hyde, football coach, Notre Dame. What do I call you? I'll call you a pundit, lifelong follower, and veteran Tim Hyde. Tim, you doing good, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing really good. Yeah, I was laughing real quick. It's like struggling Notre Dame fan. I've seen the great parts of Notre Dame fan, all those things. So let's get back on it, right? Let's kick off year 3. So it's on my to-do list, by the way, for all the fans. I want to just do a whole show about year 3, the 2024 season. I'm looking forward to that right before training camp kicks off. I've been prepping little notes to send you and whatnot. But no, I'm excited. As I told you right before the show, all those that are driving to work, hanging out on the road. It's funny. I've read some old reviews, and it's like get tons of truck drivers listen to us all the time. So this is the first time I've sat down. I told Singer right before we started all day. I've been busy as could be. So I am relaxed, and I am excited as I heck to sit back, talk Notre Dame football with everyone tonight. So thanks for joining us.
Sorry, Tim. I know you just got that fresh cut. How you have it, just so pretty. Just give it like a little hop to it and put it all together, man. I mean,
yeah, I'm not gonna.
It's a great head of hair.
I'm not going into that meme, but we'll from there.
Dude, folks, please hit the.
You can't read the news. You can't read the news without like these random women in sports now are like all over Twitter. I'm like, come on, I want to read the news. They're popping all over. Right? You got the Edmonton Oiler girl. You got the Nashville girls. That were down in Nashville. I was like, come on, guys. I want to get into sports, Mike.
I'm sorry. Folks, please hit a thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to our channel for more content. blueandgold.com is your home for all things Notre Dame Fighting Irish football and recruiting coverage. Our offer for you guys is $1 for 2 months when you use the promo code UND1. I had someone just email me like an hour ago saying, hey, Mike, I had some issues with this. I just responded to him before we got on the show. So if you have any issues, please let me know. Mike.singer@on3.com is my email, which as this show grows, maybe I got to stop giving that out. But hey, it's okay for now. And of course, Mike T. Singer is my Twitter, and I usually check my DMs a couple times a week. So yeah, folks, please hit the thumbs up, of course. We have a really fun show lined up. We always like to take different items of news that's going on and kind of react to it, especially during this time of the year where we don't have a lot of football to talk about. As we get closer to the season, Tim and I will do more like previews of different positions. We'll do predictions, all that kind of stuff. We'll get Horka and Sobel on to talk about fall camp and even Kyle Kelly. So we'll do that. But for now, it's more like, all right, what's going on in the news? Let's talk about it. And news can kind of be something that maybe is not the best word, I should say, because this isn't necessarily news, but it's something interesting that is going on in the interwebs, Tim. The EA College Football 25 game, which is coming out July, I think is it 16th? But then you can get early access a couple days before, which I absolutely paid the extra $30 for, Tim. 100%. And you may or may not be able to watch me play it on my Twitch stream. It's going to be a blast. Tim Hyde's going to be my coach. We've talked about that. We'll get into that more on another date. I may or may not be taking off that first day. Anyway, so top 25 toughest places to play. For podcast audience, I'm just going to read this 1 through 25.
Now, this is EA Sports. Yeah, this is
EA Sports opinion. All right, this is what they put together. I'm not gonna read the stadium name. I'm just gonna read the school name. Okay, Texas A&M, Alabama, LSU, Ohio State, Georgia. This is in order. Penn State, Wisconsin, Oklahoma, Florida State, Florida, Oregon, Clemson, Tennessee, Auburn, South Carolina, 15, going on to 16. Michigan, Virginia Tech, Utah, Texas, Iowa, Notre Dame at 21. Michigan State 22, Arkansas 23, Boise State, old Albertson Stadium 24, the blue turf, and Mississippi State, more cowbell at 25. So you saw that, Tim? A lot of people get outraged anytime you have a list on the internet. It's a big deal. People get upset about this, but I think this one was up there with some people get upset about lists. What was your take on it?
Well, I love it. I mean, I'm a huge. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this number one as a Notre Dame fan. What are the fun spots for Notre Dame to play? Some of the iconic games and the venues that Notre Dame is gone to over the years and played, and then definitely, when Notre Dame's not, that early game or if Notre Dame's playing at night for the fifth time in a row, you got to watch that 3:30 CBS game. I'm on East Coast, so I can say 3:30 now. You get that, CBS game. And I tape a lot of games, so I watch a bunch of stuff on Sunday to drive the wife nuts, but that's okay. And I just I'm a fan of loud stadiums. I love it. So I don't like soccer, but I watch World Cup because the atmosphere is insane. Soccer's boring as could be, but the World Cup is fun. But these things, I mean, these stadiums are like, I love it. I love it. And, people are going to probably boo-hoo Notre Dame fans because it's filled with SEC stadiums. But, man, come on, Mike. SEC football is a different animal. It just is. And when you get big game atmospheres in some of these places, dude, it's deafening. And they are awesome, awesome places to watch a game. So that's how I looked at it. A&M being number one, without a doubt, a top 10 atmosphere, top 10 stadium. That one stunned me that they were number one.
Yeah. Good thing Notre Dame doesn't play there. Oh, crap, they do week one.
They do.
Which very much week one is something where it's like throw it all out. Week one is it's like a whole different season than week 10, Tim. What your team looks like then. So
I mean, we talked about it. It's going to be a freak show. It is going to be insane. Now you just gave them the number one ranking on EA Sports, the video games coming out. Those crazies are even going to get more nuts for game one to prove this thing is right and whatnot. So it's an awesome atmosphere. I mean, there's, plenty of games where A&M have upset one. There's a game 20 years ago, it's probably 25 now, when Bob Stoops had like a huge winning streak in Oklahoma. A&M beat them. That place was deafening. Old Notre Dame fans, just go YouTube 2001. You can't even hear. Notre Dame got annihilated that day in 2001. So it's a great atmosphere. Game one is going to be crazy. It's loud. People go watch Andy Staples broke it down. He did his own top 20 on on the On3 channel.
There's a guest we got to get one of these days.
Andy, I love him. I mean, I've been reading him forever. I love him. I love his podcast. I've been a huge fan of his for years and years and years. But Andy did a great job breaking it all down as well. So that's a one for everyone to go on the On3 page and hunt that down from a few days ago.
Yeah, Andy's great.
So
what do you think about Notre Dame at 21? I'm gonna recuse. I have opinions on this. I am not gonna make comment on it.
Yeah.
I just feel like I haven't been around long enough. I'm not gonna make any comments.
Now, this is the thing with Notre Dame is like, it's funny because as soon as I saw the list, I would say they're definitely a top 20 stadium. I mean, people may not like that or whatever. I think they are, and I look at it, obviously biased, but when it's a big game, that place is rocking. I mean, look at Clemson a few years ago. Even Ohio State last year was a zoo. The SC game, 2020 against Clemson when they had the 30-some-odd game winning streak, that place was a freak show with just 10,000 students. It was loud as hell. Once again, go back and just listen to these atmospheres. When Notre Dame, and when it's a big game, that stadium is loud as could be. It just is. The problem is, Mike, is Notre Dame is the house that Rockne built. And everyone that goes into Notre Dame knows that. And all they want to do is play their ass off and go crazy, try and pull an upset and roll from there. And I don't think people are scared of playing at Notre Dame because it's a legendary venue. It just is. You're scared as hell. If you're going to the Swamp, you're going to Death Valley at LSU, Kyle Field's going to be a crazy. For all the Notre Dame fans going to Kyle Field, I pray for you. Good luck, because you're not going to get a nice high five at all.
Yeah.
But at Notre Dame, everyone's welcoming. It's probably tough right now for all the Notre Dame fans to think it's a top 20 venue or top 15. because Notre Dame fans are selling their tickets like hotcakes. I mean, when Georgia is like half the stadium, when the Cincinnati freaking Bearcats is half the season stadium, what can you do, right?
Yeah.
So, but once again, that goes back to the house that Rockne built. People want to go there. It's a shrine.
Yeah, it
That's the
is.
thing, and that's why it's not intimidating. Because I mean, even
Well,
teams down south or a player or whatnot, if they go there, they know what Notre Dame is.
yeah.
They
Well,
get up for it. Perfect example. Hate to bring it up is Marshall. Those guys weren't fearful of Notre Dame. They were hyped to play in that stadium for the first time ever. So you just go back to games like that. But for me, it's a top 20 venue because when it's rocking, that place is rocking.
yeah. You bring up a good point. The other thing I'll add on it is, and Goolsby and I touched on this a little bit earlier this week, is just like how national the fan base is. If you're a Texas A&M fan, chances are you live in Texas or a state that touches Texas. If you're a Notre Dame fan, Tim, where do you live? Not in Indiana, not in Michigan, not in Ohio. You know, like
as I said, I was born in Long Beach. Never seen an A&M hat in Long Beach, California.
yeah.
I went to Redondo Beach High School, where the Elite 11 was this past week, is Maricosta High School, which is our rival, 1.5 miles away from Redondo High School. Zero A&M hats, cruising 10th Street on the Strand down in Manhattan Beach. But you're right. There's going to be a Notre Dame hat at all times, cruising the Strand between Hermosa and Manhattan Beach. But yeah, not a lot of A&M hats cruising the world, or even in Florida. No one's walking around A&M hat in Florida.
So I think that's part of it. Is there's a lot of Notre Dame fans would like to get to the Shrine, but you just, more of a trip, So, but then there's the ticket side of things. Goolsby talks about the sleepy day games. There's a lot of different kind of parts of this.
Oh yeah. But there's sleepy day games at LSU as well. I mean, there's been plenty, but it's
different
also,
sleepy, different compared to like a Notre maybe,
Yeah, I mean, Brian Kelly got boat raced at noon 2 years ago against, was that Rocky Top, when he came in and spanked him. But no, but I get it. That's the thing with Notre Dame. If it's a top 10 SC, Clemson coming to town, Florida State this year is going to be a zoo. That place is going to be rocking as long as ND handles business. A&M, there's no reason why Notre Dame shouldn't be undefeated hosting Florida State. So that atmosphere and that night is crazy. I want to say Mike's been to, Goolsby's been, he was at Ohio State and Clemson the last 2 years. I know he sent me a video of one of them, and it's freaking loud as hell. So when Notre Dame,
Goolsby was at Neyland Stadium one of those years. I mean, what did he make a memorable play or anything?
It's funny you say it, because Neyland Stadium is my top 5. They would be in my top.
It's a pretty special place, I will say.
Oh God, no, 2 of the best games I've ever watched as a fan is the 90 game. And then obviously when Goolsby's pick and the defense in 04.
Tim, we got to move on. I did want to say real quick, Bleberg said you need to put qualifiers on this question: experience versus difficulty winning. If we're going to talk about difficulty winning, you have like South Carolina at 15. They're not great. Wisconsin's in the top 10. It's a really good program, but this is obviously, A&M, they haven't done a whole lot. So it's much more about just the stadium. I don't think it has anything to do with results. It's purely just the stadium atmosphere.
The stadium, A&M. It's like Autzen Stadium. Oregon's definitely in there. You got, I'm just rattling off some that would be in my top 10. Obviously, Rocky Top, Tennessee, Alabama. I don't care what anyone says. That place is crazy. Jordan Hare is nuts. I actually visited Alabama and Auburn a couple of years ago. Me and my wife took a southern trip. One of my favorites, without a doubt, Mike Goolsby, obviously big win there in 02, is Doak Campbell. That place, I'm telling you, man, you want to get some chills as fans, is Google 2014. There's a 5-minute clip on YouTube. Obviously, I have no life. I'm on YouTube a lot. So 2014.
Kids,
yeah, exactly. You got to relax tonight. Type in just 2014 Notre Dame FSU entrance. There's a 5-minute clip. And if you like getting a little adrenaline rush like I love in my life, watch that, man. It is awesome. But that's one of my favorites. Oregon's a freak show. Who else is in there? Yeah, I can't. Obviously, we all hate Penn State as Notre Dame fans, but you got to respect the whiteout. That's crazy.
Dope.
Some of those places are great. Obviously, Clemson is a hard place to win.
Yeah.
And Alabama, as they've always, Alabama could be a old wine and cheese club as well. But when you got, 90% blue chip ratio, I think it's sometimes also the players might than the actually atmosphere as well.
Yeah. Doak Campbell, I've been to a game once there, and it was 2010 when I was in high school, and I was a big Georgia Tech fan at the time. I can't name 3 players on their team now. But Jonathan Dwyer, I'm pretty sure we still had Dwyer as the running back, and Demaryius Thomas would have been on the team at receiver, and went in and beat Christian Ponder, which was pretty great as a Georgia Tech fan in 10th grade.
Andrew wrote
sitting in the student section. Trash $20 super chat. Really appreciate the generosity in the super chat. It says Culture Ball 25 is Notre Dame Stadium is tough as 21. Toughest place to play. Agree or disagree? People holding 2017 versus Georgia over our heads. One time had the longest home game win streak. Even ACC president put a bounty on us. Trash, really appreciate the $20 super chat. We just talked about it. So I'd recommend rewinding. Tim said that he would have Notre Dame in the top 20, but I don't think Tim is like super over the,
I'm not.
He's not like yelling at the ranking. We also just went through, like, it's not about winning or losing, because obviously you have Texas A&M at 1. It's not like they haven't lost any home games recently, and South Carolina's in the top 15, and Wisconsin's a fine program but number 7. So it's not who's the best team. It's more about just the most crazy stadium. So Trash, really we appreciate the
real quick. I thought Georgia was way too high on that list, and Auburn. There's games you watch at Jordan Hare, and that place is nuts. They had EA had them outside the top 10, which I found interesting. But some great places. Camp Randall's one of them. Lincoln, Nebraska was not on there, correct? In the top 25, which as a home atmosphere, even though they've struggled, that is a hell of a place to play football in Nebraska.
Before we move into talking to Charles Power about Deuce Knight at the Elite 11, and this kind of, Tim, I used to not throw shade at all. And I guess in my older age, Tim, I'm just letting them fly these days. I don't really care. I don't really throw shade at specific people as much as organizations. I will. This one is just one of my favorites. So your boy here tweeted out February 26th. You see that bookmark? Bookmark this to come back to it, because I just knew. It said, how much y'all want to bet that Will Black gets bumped up a good bit by other sites? Kid's a stud. On 3, 5-star. 24/7, number 30 offensive tackle. ESPN had him as I think a 70 is like a low 3-star. And then Rivals had him as a high 3-star. And then fast forward to today, Mr. Hyde. Same on 3 ranking. 24/7 has him at 176. ESPN now at top 100 at 99, and Rivals up to 62. So Will Black's industry ranking went from 188 in February to 43 here in late June. So I wanted to give just a shout out to Will Black on that, and to our next guest, who I think was definitely ahead of the curve. And then this was really cool. So this is from the founder of On3, Shannon Terry, tweeted this out. I met Will and his mother at the On3 Elite Series event in Nashville. That would have been a month ago. And he said, this young man is physically, athletically, and mentally cut different. He is the total package and will one day be a top 5-10 pick and a 15 plus year NFL starter. The sky is the absolute limit, and I wish him the best. By the way, he mailed me a handwritten thank you card for the event. Come on, what 16-year-old does this in 2024? The definition of elite. That last part, that's pretty awesome. Will is a special kid, man. Special kid. The Joe Alt vibes are through the roof, and
he's a damn good football player. I know when he committed.
Damn good football player, great kid.
Yeah, I remember doing. It's funny when I love watching film, obviously. So I love to watch guys who are ranked around him. And then with Will, I mean, it was so early. So I know you want to give shade and whatnot. It's February. Guys aren't even doing rankings. I'm a fan of, for me, do the rankings this time of year. That's what I would believe. We'll let all the camps go out. Everyone updating rankings every 26 days. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
It's now when it matters. Now you're going into your fall thing.
But Tim, that's not true because these schools offer freaking 8th graders. Like the schools are evaluating early. Why can't the websites evaluate early?
Yeah, but that's a school with probably 1,000 more resources and whatnot and whatever. And those are actually coaches doing it compared to some other people. So who knows? I get it. Hey, I gave props to Charles. I gave a whole entire breakdown on our message board about Will Black and the top 10 offensive tackles that were all ranked ahead of him at the time, and none of it made sense. I didn't understand the rankings on some of these old linemen when you compare him to Will. So he shot up. Exactly. Charles was the first one on it. Give him a high five. No issues with that. But it's like, it's a no-brainer because he's gone through the whole spring. He's had his camp, those combines. He's went to some camp and just destroyed people recently and whatnot. So he
did one showcase. That's it. That's all he did. Yeah. It was just the other side catching up.
Exactly. Hey, I'm not gonna boo-hoo recruiting services and whatnot.
Just the other ones.
It is what it is.
But unless they rank CJ Carr low, and then I'm going to give them crap. And
which, by the way, why the hell we always count ESPN? I've mentioned this for 4 years.
I think they count 10% towards their rankings. It's like 35 for ESPN. Excuse me, for 24/7 and On 3, so they make up 70%. And then
who even runs ESPN?
Rivals is 20 and ESPN's 10. All right, we're supposed to get him in here 8 minutes ago, Tim. So let's go ahead and bring in the man, Charles Power, the On 3 director of scouting and rankings. Charles, I know you were backstage watching for a few minutes. Are you enjoying the show so far, my friend?
Yeah, I'm riveted. But yeah, I mean, it's funny. We're actually working on our rankings right now. Just kind of our post summer camp circuit type of update. It's heavily data driven, and I was working on the offensive tackles, and don't see a ton of I really like the kind of our pecking order, at offensive tackle, and I think for Will Black and those guys, it's going to be kind of how they play as seniors. But it's a really exciting group, I think, and he was kind of my current headliner, among that group.
A group that you have said is like your favorite offensive tackle class ever.
I think tackle and interior, it's the best offensive line cycle I think I've evaluated, at least up to this point, just with the depth. Like you look at a lot of the top interior guys, they all have positional flexibility, could play. There's several of them that could play tackle. It's just the body types and just the athletes are the best I've seen. And like just the sheer number, like I think there's guys who, are maybe fringe top 50 type of prospects who in past years would be 5 stars. Like it's just insane depth. And it's going to be really interesting to kind of see, how it shakes out, how many guys we have as 5 stars among the offensive line. Cause I think there's probably upwards of 10 who can make a case for it. So
Tim, do you have something?
Yes. I mean, since Singer's throwing kudos out, my biggest kudos to you, Charles, is the kid up in who just committed to Alabama. I remember I was with Cody Belair. He and I were messaging back and forth some O-line notes. This is a couple months ago. And, that dude, Lloyd, or is that
Jackson Lloyd? Yeah.
Oh my God, that guy! You were like the only one that ring. I know Will, is Singer, is said earlier with Will. That dude is unbelievable. That guy, no one really heard about. I even remember texting Singer. I'm like, why isn't Notre Dame offered this guy? He is like athlete times 10. So that is my little hidden gem for Notre Dame fans just to go check out.
Well,
kid out of Northern California going to Alabama. Unbelievable.
All right, I don't want this turned into a glaze fest with Charles Power because I got a text from someone today who's working with CJ Carr who said he looks effing unreal. So Charles, you suck as well. So I just want to throw that out there.
Nice.
Deuce Knight, Elite 11.
Yeah.
Your MVP. I know Keelan Russell got the Elite 11 MVP
Mhm.
based on the camp and junior film and
Yep.
eating habits or whatever. I'm just kidding, but there's other factors for the
Right.
Elite 11 stats. But for you, just based on the camp, Deuce Knight was your MVP of, again, the Elite 11 finals in Southern California, and that was coming off of a week where he was your MVP at the OT7.
Yep.
So I guess just general impressions of Deuce Knight at that camp. I'm sure you saw, mostly every throw he had.
Yeah.
Why was he your MVP?
Yeah, it was a really tight group. I think there's probably 4 guys who I think could have made a case as the MVP, and I think if that's probably a good kind of explainer why there was so much varying opinions on those guys. But for me, I thought Deuce Knight among that top group had the most like legitimate wow moments of the week. In addition to just the consistency of the performance, like I thought he was good every day, but then I thought his second day was exceptional. That's the day where they do the pro day primarily. They do an accuracy competition where you throw to stationary targets, which we don't really watch. I mean, we'll get video of that, but it's I think the main event of that day is certainly the scripted pro day, and you can see some throws there. He had a maybe a 4 throw sequence on that pro day. One of this being one of them where he rolls out to his right and throws across his body and drops it in. But I think he had maybe a 4 throw sequence that I think was the best of that day. And it was not just the location, but the arm strength. It's kind of everything, just like the projectable tools and just kind of seeing it all come together. And Mike, I mean, if you had told me that Deuce Knight would have been our MVP at the Elite 11, and particularly if he had shown out on the pro day, back in February, I would have said that I would have had trouble believing that. But yeah, I mean, I think he showed, I think, the most upside of that group. Obviously I think he's going to need to continue this trajectory and carry it over to Friday nights. But it was certainly like, there was moments where it was like, very tantalizing just as an evaluator, just what he could do, his physical talent, and kind of seeing it all come together in a performance, like kind of, and being able to like stack all of that. So I think, it could have been the 4-man group was, to me, was him, Keelan Russell, Hassan Longstreet, the A&M commit, and Tavian St. Clair, the Ohio State commit. And, it's kind of a eye of the beholder.
Sure.
What you value, it's highly subjective, but
100%.
for me, I mean, it's extremely subjective. I think it's probably the most subjective evaluation.
Split hairs, right?
Yeah, of the whole cycle. But for me, just the wow factor that Deuce had at times, I thought outweighed that, like all of those other guys in that specific area. And then you're kind of splitting hairs on performance. So to me, it was like,
yeah, you're a big wow. You're a big wow factor upside guy.
Yeah,
you're a big upside guy. You like I always talk about this with you. You like to see this guys who are getting better throughout their high school career, who haven't touched their ceiling yet. That's why you rated. I mean, Joe Walt still too low, but Joe Walt higher than everyone else did a few cycles ago. Like Will Black, maybe Deuce Knight. Maybe we'll see. That's a Charles Power thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to remind ourselves constantly, and I think when you look at the NFL draft and you look at these prospects once they get to college and they're 20, 21 years old, you have to remind yourself, like, we're projecting, and for us, the performance is kind of an indicator of where they are on their development, and if it gives us substance to make the projection. But I think you do have to remind yourself, like, constantly of the upside, and these college coaches get paid big bucks for a reason, is to develop these guys and put them in positions to continue getting better. And I think in Deuce's case, the fact that he's, we've always known he's had a ton of talent, but I think he's really given us a lot of reasons for optimism, the past month or so, just our exposure to him, seeing him at OT7 and this just back to back. So, and I think as well, I think he's best in situations where he's not having to like overthink, like, and when you see things go live. And I think that was, it's not necessarily like a performance thing, but sometimes with these quarterbacks, like, just operating in drills, like, that's a skill. and it might not always be a skill that's going to transfer to a live situation. So I think, but he's gotten better there. So I think he's gotten increasingly confident. So I think him going out there and doing what he did on that pro day, which is really kind of what they build towards. They put a lot of emphasis and time into that. Him going out there and doing that, and it was really kind of an uncomfortable situation, and it can expose quarterbacks a little bit.
Yeah.
Him going out there and having what was, in my opinion, the most impressive one, I think just speaks volumes to the strides he's made.
A couple more things from me before I throw it over to Tim. You touched on this. I was at the Under Armour camp in Carrollton. You were there. I think he ran like a 4.61 laser when he was like rolled out of bed at like 4 a.m. to make the drive over or something, and had been playing basketball. It's not like he had been training for a 40-yard dash. Runs a 4.61 laser. But the throwing, it was erratic that day. Like he wasn't super crisp. Or like, to think about that day to now, it's quite the impressive jump for him.
Yeah.
And I texted you this the other day, like he just started getting private quarterback training. Everything up to this point is just from like high school coaches and natural just talent from him. He just started getting, I think it was late February, early March, specialized private quarterback training.
Yeah.
So is it, I don't know, is it wild how much he's improved in such a short time to you?
Yeah, it has. I mean, I think, he looks night and day different from that day that we saw him, in Carrollton, Georgia. It felt like he was aiming a little bit, Mike. I mean, I don't know if you kind of saw that as well.
Sure.
He was just kind of aiming, and he just seems so much more confident operating. And I think there's just, less thinking and just kind of more going with the flow and letting it rip and just a higher confidence level and just kind of letting his talent take over. But also too, I mean, I think this speaks to just trends we see at the quarterback position. I mean, Deuce Knight is a freaky athlete, a guy who's a 3-sport athlete. He hasn't spent a lot of time doing quarterback training. He's been playing basketball, running track, and really, I think until maybe the last couple of years when he started doing some 7-on-7, he was a guy who was just playing football during the football season with his high school. So, and we saw the same type of improvement, just hockey stick type of trajectory in 7-on-7 as well. So I think it has to make you feel good about just his capacity to improve. I think he's a guy who knows he needs to get better. Like, I don't think he views himself as a finished product, which a lot of times these prospects' mindset is a big factor in how much they improve. So I think it's all really encouraging. And I'm, like I said, last time we talked, I'm excited to see, how he carries this over into the season. It's really going to be interesting. This quarterback group in general, I think is a fun one to evaluate. And obviously Deuce is a guy who I think is going to have a lot of eyes on him this fall, and having a full off season at George County, I think should help. So, I'm really excited to see kind of how it all comes together. And I'm excited as well. I think we make a lot about his passing improvement, but I'm excited to see how he is just as a playmaker. I think just it's seeing how, if everything slows down for him, I think he has the capacity. I said this last time. I think he has the capacity to be a 1,000-yard rusher. A guy with his athleticism, I think that's certainly, a possibility. So it should be fun to watch.
So you have this guy who goes out at the Elite 11, which is, I mean, sure, you get to throw on the run a little bit, but this is very much a pocket thing. Mm-hmm. And he wins your MVP of the Elite 11, and he's not even able to do the thing that he's best at, which is when he's able to tuck and run it at 6'4 and a half, 208 pounds. That's what you verified him at the Nashville event, right? Mm-hmm. And then we have multiple verified data of his 40s. I mean, I played a video of him running a 40-yard dash. You can sit there and time it. We have the 4.61. I think it was actually 4.61 at the Under Armour camp. I'm pretty sure it was very close to that. So low 4.6, mid 4.5s. That's our documentary on him running. So you have all of those data points on him, and I know the senior season is going to be so important for this, but I'm just curious your mindset when you are going through rankings updates here soon. What you're thinking about Deuce. Right now he's the number 54 overall player, which overall rankings more fan fodder than anything for me. I care much more about the position rankings.
Yeah.
So he's at 6 right now. I know Rivals has him at 1. That's what you see on the screen. That's number 1 dual threat. Rivals is still in the Stone Age on that. They still have dual threat and pro style. I think ESPN does too. So if you're wondering on that. So he's your number 6 quarterback. Do you think he moves up? How close in your mind right now is he to one of those top 32 slots, which is a 5-star for you? What's your thought right now on Deuce Knight and his ranking?
Yeah, we haven't really gotten into the quarterbacks too much. We're going to go through the Elite 11 video and just make sure, kind of what we saw in person jives with what's on video. I found in the past, just from my experience, I think when you're in person, a lot of times you have a tendency to overvalue misses and undervalue great throws in person. So I think that just kind of goes for everybody. So I'm eager, we're going to go through that kind of as a group and kind of get varying opinions and piece it together. But, I think Deuce, I think the arrow's pointing up on Deuce in general. And I think like Bryce Underwood wasn't there, the LSU commit. And in my opinion, and I've held this opinion for a while, I think Bryce Underwood's probably in a tier by himself. And after that, it's a little muddled. Because I think when you just look at Bryce Underwood, I think he's kind of, his upside is extremely high, but he's also probably the most accomplished high school player of these guys. So he hits a lot of markers for, just when you're looking at these quarterbacks. But outside of that, I mean, I think it's a fascinating group. It's a lot of guys who have high upside. And I mean, Mike, you kind of know like our philosophy. Like I definitely tend to lean upside types, but then you kind of get to brass tacks, which is the senior year, which is kind of when we really drill down on the players. So I think Deuce has set himself up to make a move, but it's really contingent on playing on Friday nights. Because at the end of the day, like film is the tip of the spear with our evals, and you have to kind of like give us reason on film as well. So
but you still have to make. I mean, you still got a lot of new data on him.
Yeah, and like that, it's a common talking point. With fans sometimes, like generally with this July release, it's one where everyone says like, oh, there hasn't been a new football. It hasn't been football been played. Like, I agree. I agree. Like I would be surprised if, any other outlets value film more than we do in terms of like the amount that we go through it and actual game film, not highlights. But the exposure that we've had to these guys in person is significant. It's seeing them all side by side. It's seeing them all in the same field. And this is the only time in the cycle where we really have that opportunity. It's really the only time ever that we're going to see those 20 quarterbacks on the same field, really between now and like the NFL draft. I mean, a lot's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of football played, but as of, June 26, that is our most recent look at those guys. So in person and really sizing them up. So it's very helpful. And I think it helps us set the table for the senior season. That's kind of how I view it. I view it as like a table setting exercise going into the fall.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Tim, one more thing. You bring up it's not just highlights. It's full games you guys watch. Cause how many games of CJ Carr did you watch his senior year?
I watched them all, I think.
Every single CJ. And I know you weren't watching those CJ Carr games for the tight end, probably. You're watching them for C. So that's fascinating.
I mean, I would say at least 9 out of 10 or 11 out of 12. It's the vast majority.
Tim?
Oh God, yeah. First off, Charles said a great thing about Deuce being a three sport star. I instantly, because it's been a debate on our message board about offensive line, is Emil Wagner. There's Emil who you gave a 5-star to. I mean, I remember when he committed, I told Mike if he was 290, he's top 10 in the country. He was a freakazoid on film, but he's a three sport star, only 260. And now it's going into year 3 and things are starting to take place for him. So Deuce may be that same type of guy. So just a little thing out there for Notre Dame fans sometimes, just to take a deep breath, let these guys develop. High school, when they're playing 1,000 things, you're not just sitting there just working on 10-yard out routes all day long. But oh man, there's a lot that you said in there, which was awesome. It's interesting because I'll give you a little pass here, Charles, on the 5-star question is that Mike brought up. Man, I wish you luck because Underwood, no one wants to say it on this Notre Dame as fans because he's going to LSU. The dude's a dude. He's on a different planet. He just is. He's on a different planet. So I'll give you, without a doubt, the next batch. If Deuce is moving up, well, so is the guy from Texas going to Alabama moving up, and he's ranked lower than Deuce right now. So people may need to take a little chill if he jumps Deuce. So just be prepared for that. But you're number 2. By the way, just a quick 30 seconds. He's unbelievable. I never watched this kid until a week ago. Zollers.
Matt Zollers.
Holy moly, is his film freakish. So, I know he didn't get a lot of Elite 11 and whatnot, hype coming out of there, but that's a hell of a football player. So just wanted to give you a little kudos. But you're right, that batch, man, it seems like Russell, Knight, Lewis, the Ohio State guy, St. Clair, all these guys are like McIntyre not being there. Does that hurt him? Because Deuce beat him out, I believe, at one of the Elite 11 preview camps.
Yeah, at the Oxford regional.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I remember reading about he had a day. So good luck.
Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot of moving parts with it for sure.
And then I'm a SoCal guy. I said it a year ago. Everyone laughed at me. I said it. Longstreet's going to be a 5-star. The guy's unbelievable. At a Crony
I think he has a case as the strongest arm in the cycle. It's one of the strong. He has one of the strongest arms I've seen in the years of going to the Elite 11. That guy
will throw 25-yard out routes on a rope. So good luck as you get into the rankings.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
It's going to be wild. But I have a quick question. As we're talking about, obviously, Deuce and all his improvement and his mechanics, there's just a Notre Dame fan who's watching him, seeing these things. Mm-hmm. There's some great video online that you could find. You see Deuce talking to guys on the sidelines. It's like, I feel like he's kind of taking ownership of this, and you've watched him for a year or so. What do you outside of just his arm and all that stuff, but what do you see as him as a Notre Dame quarterback or quarterback in general? Like the confidence, it seems like it is night and day between now and obviously a year ago.
Yeah.
So, just talk about what you see there, him on the field, him in the huddles, talking with guys, working from there. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one benefit of seeing these quarterbacks, in person in these settings, because we're not able to go to all their high school games. I think it's something that can be informative, just seeing how they interact with teammates, people surrounding them, at these camps, the other quarterbacks, and Deuce. I think the vibes around him are really positive. I think he's a guy who wants to get better. It's obvious when he goes to these events, he's trying to get better. He's like, Mike can speak to this. Mike's talked to him infinitely more than me, but he's just a laid back, kind of calm, like pretty steady, chill guy, just from my interactions with him. And, I guess kind of one anecdote, I was watching the final 2 days from the press box. I kind of chart everything, just like I literally watch chart every throw from the Elite 11 for the press box. And it's like for our stats and just kind of making sure we see everything. And, Deuce's parents were up there and they were like audibly cheering for all the quarterbacks. So that's just the kind of, I think that kind of informs he's certainly, I think, has the personality of that, you could see going over really well in a locker room. That's just from what I've seen. And, watching him with his 7-on-7 team at OT7, he was the alpha on that team. Like, there's no doubt about it. He was just very calm and certainly like a steadying presence there. And I think the confidence in seeing him at that 7-on-7 tournament, year over year, I saw him at the one in 2023, was very different. And you could tell that he's just much more comfortable. And I think that was pretty apparent. So I think that's an added thing, an added, benefit of going to this. I mean, obviously how these guys play is first for us, but I think he certainly has, a lot of those qualities. And another tidbit as well, Steve Wiltfong reported this when we were out there. I think he got really positive reviews from the coaches with just the amount of questions he was asking, the notes he was taking. He was one of maybe 2 or 3 that they singled out in that regard. So I think, I think just from what I can gather, this is a guy who wants to get better. And like, there's a lot of instances of that. And I think that's huge when you have someone with his immense talent level. Like there's just, he's got like a top 1 or 2% physical traits relative with his size and athleticism. So, if he can continue on this kind of trajectory and keep that growth mindset, I think he has, that just increases the chances that he's going to hit his massive ceiling.
Yeah, and I just wanted to bounce off that is the one thing that's always been his little knock is accuracy. I mean, he was like low 50% in his junior year stat-wise completion percentage. As we say, maybe he's throwing to guys that look like us. I don't know. And we're dropping passes. Singer played receiver, so maybe he's throwing to singers out there. Watching the film. I played O-line. Some of those guys look like me, so it's hard to maybe he's better than 53%. So as far as the accuracy, it's like that has been probably his biggest also jump when you look at the way he's performed from his junior film to all these camps that are coming. That he's obviously competed in kicking butt and things of that nature. Throwing 70 yards, it's like, are you kidding me? Jumping 10 feet in the air, all those things. It's wild. So the accuracy to me, when I see it, when you watch junior film, that's what we have to go off of. It looks like, is it a lefty thing? Because it looks like his arm goes way back at times. And are those things that you've seen an improvement on from watching him? Yeah. And you saw him up close? Because if you slow-mo it, it goes way back. And obviously those things when you're going against the teams that Notre Dame plays, how's that going to factor in? Because some of these guys, as you're talking about that, in that top 5 ranking for a 5-star status is like some of those dudes, man, they whip that ball out in a blink of an eye. So kind of compare the accuracy with because just last thing before you go is he finished 5th in the accuracy, which blew me away because I would have expected him to be in the teens, and here he was at the Elite 11. He finished 5th in that. So good job to him. I think that shows his steady improvement that he's making.
Yeah, he was in the top group in everything, and that was kind of my basis for making him the MVP, or like our basis was this guy's in the top group really every day, had, in my opinion, the best day 2, and had the highlight sequence of plays that week. So I think it's a great question. When I look at quarterbacks, completion percentage is something you look at, but I think it's really situational. I've seen quarterbacks hit in the 70s and they're just throwing screen passes. Like I think back to Caleb Williams' evaluation. Caleb Williams was a guy, if you just did a paper eval of him in high school, there would have been red flags. But I watched Caleb Williams games and I saw that there were no checkdowns in that offense whatsoever. So that's a factor. I watched, like Deuce, there was a significant drop percentage, with his receivers last year. Like that's something. And I remember coming away from watching his film saying, you want this guy to play better, but the film was better than the stats. And so it helps inform that. I think for me, statistically, there are certain thresholds with yards per attempt that I find to be pretty indicative. You want to hit probably over 9 yards an attempt as a senior. He was 7.7 last year, so you want to get better with that. I think yards per attempt to me is better than completion percentage because it bakes in, throwing downfield a little bit more. We don't have air yards for high school, so I think that's probably the closest you can get to it. But yeah, I think that all helps. And with Deuce, I have seen his motion quicken, and I think also it's just going to be, just his confidence in making decisions. I think that's going to factor in kind of with his release time. I thought he looked much more confident in 7-on-7, just with getting the ball out faster. And there were instances in 7-on-7 where you saw him get to his 3rd read. So I think one area I'm looking for him to continue improving. This is not singular to him. There's several top quarterbacks that I think this applies to, is just getting those live reps and like knowing, this is an instance where I need to tuck it and run. This is an instance where I need to get it out fast, and just seeing that decision making. That's one area where I think Bryce Underwood and maybe Matt Zollers are better than the rest of this group right now. When you watch the film, it's just there's not as much kind of lag time with seeing this guy open and getting it out. But I think Deuce has shown, improvement in that, just in the 7-on-7. So, I think there were maybe some times in his junior season where, he was trying to maybe be a little too perfect playing quarterback, where it's just kind of like, let the playmaking take over. You're the best athlete in the field, like tuck it and you can run for an 80-yard touchdown. So I think that's just all growth as a player. So, I'm excited to see how it goes, but, of course I think you would want his completion percentage to move up, but I think to me, it's more about just like, how dominant of a high school player are you? He's a dual threat, make plays, improvisational plays. And I think as he can, like, I think if he's more of a playmaker with his legs, it opens things up in the pass game. So it all kind of goes together. Yeah. And I think, I think he's got the potential to do that this year. So it's going to be fun to kind of see how that all unfolds. But that's probably a little bit of a meta answer. But I hope that kind of answered with him as well. Just kind of how that kind of folds into what we're looking for a senior season.
Well, he's so intriguing because he's like, he's Lamar Jackson. He's Vince Young. When you watch him just run, do all those things, and you're just like, holy moly! It's like,
we actually saw that. We saw that a little bit at OT7. They can blitz you, like they have 2 or 3 blitzes a game, and if you blitz the quarterback, they can take off running. I think he got blitzed twice, and both times were 30-yard gains, and it was kind of like everybody's kind of like, oh, okay. And I don't think he got blitzed the rest of the tournament. So he has that. He has that in his bag, so to speak. And you look at the physical comps for him, and there it's like Vince Young, Anthony Richardson, probably a lighter, like a Dante Culpepper, a taller Robert Griffin. Like that's the kind of athletic, if you were to do like a combine analysis for kind of the numbers he has now, that's what it is. So I think the biggest thing is just getting that experience, putting yourself in a good situation, just developmentally heading into or just from a confidence level, heading into your college time, and, and just kind of seeing how it shakes out. But he's a guy who, seeing all these guys in person. I think I did a superlatives article for the Elite 11, and he, like, my superlative for him was most upside. So I think the fact that he has the most upside and he performed well, I think it's reason for Notre Dame fans to be excited.
Charles, appreciate your time. I held you about 20 minutes longer.
No, you're good.
I told you I would. So
yeah, I have like 8 questions more. So we bring them back on in the summer before camp goes, because it's it's just fascinating to talk. I have a few like quarterback things, NFL draft. Yeah, we dive into it because it's an awesome conversation. And once you get rolling, Charles, it's like, just start talking and you're awesome. So seriously, you give so many good answers, and then you got 3 more questions off of those. So we got to bring them on just for an hour, and we'll just hang out.
Let's do it. All right, Charles, appreciate you, man.
All right, sounds good. I'll see you later.
Thank you.
Yeah. So for the Charles Carter
with more questions.
I'm sorry. I had more I wanted to talk to him about too, but we brought him on 8 minutes late because you kept running your mouth about the stadiums.
It's funny you say that because I'm sitting here yapping. You didn't give me a clue. I got no text. So I'm like, all right, Charles isn't waiting yet. So I'm waiting for you to give me a clue that he's waiting.
I told you 8:15 to 8:35. That was on the email.
Show business, Mike. Sometimes you it's the guy ready, right?
Here's the thing about the Charles Power haters, because of CJ Carr's ranking. I get it, and I'm with you. I don't like the CJ Carr ranking, but how can you listen to him talk and be like, nah, he doesn't know what he's talking about? Tim, this is the thing about him, and I'm not trying to turn this into a Charles Power Glaze fest. I don't like this. I don't like the CJ Carr ranking as much as you guys do. I think he's gonna be a stud. What he just did, talk so intimately about Deuce Knight as a player for 30 minutes. One time I called him up about a ranking. Look, Jared Parker's the head coach at Troy. A lot of the guys at Troy are from Notre Dame. So I'm kind of doing some stuff for covering Troy on the side. I called him up, and Troy came up, and their quarterback commit, Jack James from Kentucky, he was like, "Oh yeah, I know that kid." And he started talking about Jack James. So Tim, your comment earlier before he came on about they don't have the resources.
Oh no,
That guy knows every recruit. It is nuts. I can't believe he look at Rivals. When I was at Rivals, the guys who do the reporting also do the rankings. Terrible system. If that's still how they do it, it's a terrible system that can lead to so many politics. And if a kid you really like in person because he gives you great quotes and stuff, you might want to bump him up higher than the kid who doesn't ever answer your call. Like terrible system. Charles, all he does is watch film. That's all he does. He just watches film and he goes to camps. I gave him love
with the Alabama, Northern California guy's unbelievable, and he's done that with a bunch of guys. No, I understand resources, film. You got to remember, I've coached forever. I've had kids like coach, man. My ranking, I haven't gotten bumped in my ranking, and I'm just like, I don't care. Wait for the season. So I'm always thinking of those high school coaches as all these rankings come out sometimes too. So.
You think as the high school coach, Goolsby thinks from the player. I think from the media fan perspective.
The high school coach is like, go live, damn it. Let's go. We got things to do. It's like, push that sled. Let's get moving.
But that was great. I mean, agree with them or not, I always feel like I learned something.
Because I'll be just, before, you had another quick little question, if we even get into it, or we could do it next week or whatever, the few other topics you had. But yeah, it's one of my main questions, which I would love to get them on and ask, is the rankings. People are like, well, why is there only 32? It's like, me personally, I love how it's just 32. First round, we're going to rank 32
I don't.
guys. See, I like it. Just leave it as it is. Don't give me this, well, we're going to go 48 this year, 17 this year. Just keep it 32. That's
so that's I don't like that. Personally, that's not my favorite thing. I understand it. And I don't know what you would do otherwise to.
You just got they're saying these 32 are the best of the best. Does that mean 33 sucks? No, Michael Mayer was what, 33rd, 34th, 35th.
Yeah.
Draft, that doesn't mean he sucks. No, none of that. They're just picking 32. Then you got your next batch, and then your next batch. It's just rolling. It's the same like an NFL draft. It's the same type of thing. But it's funny because the Notre Dame fans are going to be watching this damn thing like crazy, and they don't realize other dudes are going to be moving up as well that have been kicking butt at all these camps as well. So Deuce and a handful of others have had great ones, but it's funny. I went back to my home, so I think it's the last 8 NFL drafts. The NFL averages about 4 a year, so 4 first rounders between Mahomes and this past year. So Charles right now has 5 in the top 32. And you got Deuce on the outside. He's 20, 30 away on the outside 6. So it was just a question I want to ask Charles. We'll get into it or whatever. It's like, do they lean off of data like that? So you want to make sure you have 4, 5 is on the cusp, which right now St. Clair to Ohio State. So it's like, can you really have 6 or 7 5-star quarterbacks? That's hard because there's not rarely how many times with this past year 6 drafted, but that's a unicorn year.
I think like the rating, like people. Let me pull up Deuce's profile again. Actually, I have Will Black's right here.
Deuce is number 54 in the country.
No, I'm talking about the rating itself. Will Black has a 98, which is a 5-star. But like, I just don't like if you have someone or you have a couple guys who you think are a 98, but you already have 32, so you can't give them 98, so it's got to be a 97. That's the one thing I don't like.
Second round pick. Someone's got to go the second round pick, Mike.
Yeah, I guess, but I don't know. But it's not like the draft is just from one recruiting class. There's multiple. So.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. But they're saying this is this year's, next year's this year. You know what I mean? You're rolling it, which all these guys are doing over their 3, 4, 5 years, as they move into the first round and things of that nature. So I don't know. I kind of like how it's just a set number. This is what we're going to do.
Yeah, I'm not like
anything. And instead of looking at it, that's why I wanted to ask Charles. Instead of looking at the top 32, is it really a top 4 for quarterbacks? So you got to get in that top.
So only 4 5-star.
Yes, which right now his top 4 would be is Underwood, Zoller's going to
All right,
Missouri.
I'll text him. Hold on.
Yeah.
I'll let you know his answer. Okay, so you're going to ask are there typically a set number of QBs who you have as 5 stars?
Yeah.
Or could it be 3 one year or 7 the next? So
Because that's why I gave him a high five when I started with him. Like, he's got a tough choice, man. This is a hell of a group. They're in the top 10, there's no bad quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Like we were talking before the show, the Mississippi State guy's number 10.
Yeah.
People were raving about him at the Elite 11. Never heard of the guy.
Couple more things. Trash, really appreciate that $20 super chat earlier. Andrew said, Tim, any concerns about the 2022 defensive line class? Half are gone. Most aren't starting in year 3. So that was the Gobira, Heinisch, Tyson Ford. Was there a 4th D lineman? Because you throw in Tuihalamaka and Burnham.
They've had to move up, so it could have been Mason Graham, but they chose to not go that route. But that's okay.
I can't remember if they took a 4th defensive lineman in that class.
No, it was those 3. Those were the big 3. Freeman's first defensive haul, which Singer wants to give the whole class to him. So,
wait, what? Oh, shut up. Power said year to year, the average would probably be 3 to 5.
3 to 5. Okay, so they're right in that range. So yeah, so that's a good. It's gonna be 5. He's got to go 5 this year. So, which if he's got to go 5, Mike, this is just talking real quick. You, me, and all the Notre Dame fans listening. If he goes 5, Russell's probably got. I mean, Russell just won the 5-star challenge at Rivals today. He's rolling right now. He won the Elite 11.
Dude, come on,
dude. I'm just saying he's moving up the charts. So you
got
Knight, which goes what? Who's dropping? Who's dropping in that? Is it McIntyre who wasn't at Elite 11?
Yeah, but I don't think he cares about arbitrary MVPs that weren't given by him.
Oh no, I totally understand.
But yeah, if he had a great day at the Rivals, I can't imagine he's going to consider that because he doesn't have the film from that. But
I'm just saying.
But still, yeah.
We always talk data points, right? There's a data point, and he was there. He did win the Elite 11. He did win competition. So I'm just saying, if he's moving up, his number 2 guy is Zollers, which, like I said, I never watched this film till a week ago. Freaking unbelievable. That guy does some crazy stuff with the ball. He struggled at Elite 11. So does Charles drop him from 2 to 6 out of his 5-star? Telling you, man, it's never easy, right, Mike, when you're looking at a film with these guys. So that senior film is going to be a telltale at the end of the day.
Andrew Gilmore, thank you for the 5. Lastly, Tom Mendoza tweeted this out.
Oh, yeah.
This is I'm going to trust that this is a screenshot of a TikTok. I'm going to trust that this TikTok account, which was not Forbes, is because I just saw the tweet from Tom, who's the namesake of the business school. I'm just going to trust that they were being serious. 10 new Ivy League schools, according to Forbes, according to a tweet or a TikTok screenshot. Boston College, Carnegie Mellon, Emory, Georgetown, John Hopkins, Northwestern, Rice, Notre Dame, USC, and Vanderbilt. I don't know if you had any reaction to this, Tim.
Well, number 1, John Hopkins, James Mann, one of my team captains a decade ago, went to Johns Hopkins, played tight end for them. Now he's European financing, so that's not too bad, correct? I'm sure he's making a few bucks. So kudos to James. That's the first thing I saw. Second thing I saw is get Notre Dame off that if you want to recruit. So
really?
My first, sure, you could get the 3-star at the Ohio Catholic School. That's great. My first thing is, do you really want where all the dudes are, Mike, down south to be like Ivy League? I'm going to go damn Ivy League. Hey, you sent me this. That was my first 30-second reaction was like, oh, great. This is going to suck in recruiting.
All right. So
it might be good for the 4 for 40 pitches, but some of those dogs that need to get up to South Bend to beat these guys in the playoffs for 4 games.
I think that's a freezing cold take, Tim.
Mike, are you? Oh, really? So you're telling me the ass kicking?
Listen, if
wants to go to an Ivy school,
if some SEC school is going to negatively recruit that to a kid about Notre Dame, and then that kid goes to Notre Dame, and Notre Dame cannot sell how of a big deal that is, how good their academics is, then either the Notre Dame staff doesn't know what they're doing, or that kid just has no interest. Listen, Tim, to go to Notre Dame, you have to have some interest in academics. Like, you have to be a decent student.
Of course, but come on. At the end of the day, Notre Dame is also, sure, you want to go to class, but Mike Goolsby talks about this every single time he's on with you. He looks at the lens of all these recruits are these championship level dudes. Can Notre Dame win a championship with these guys? So that's all I'm saying. There's some dudes they can't get. They can't even get visits from tons of guys, as we know. So yeah, negative recruiting has been around since the age of man when it comes to Notre Dame football. Why? Because nobody in the South. Why are we dealing with all this Deuce Knight crap? Because no one in the South wants that guy going north. That's just the nature of recruiting and politics. So, hey, it's awesome. Don't get me wrong. Notre Dame fans, cool.
Well, you just said it wasn't awesome. So which one is it?
It's awesome if you want to be considered an Ivy League. I'm talking as the football guy that's trying to get dudes to go kick people.
Listen, they're not going to be they're not playing in the Ivy League, so it's not a problem. They're just saying Notre Dame's academics are so damn good that according to Forbes, it's like a new Ivy League.
That's great.
All right. Glad we're in agreement.
And if people out there don't think it's going to scare more away,
hell no, it's not. It's Forbes. All right, so I found the article. It excludes schools with fewer than 4,000 students. I think I can just pull it up. This is from NBCChicago.com.
All right.
Fewer than 4,000 students, 8 old Ivies, and 4 Ivy Plus schools, which they consider Stanford, MIT, Duke, and Chicago. So we just read the privates. Here's the public Ivies. Birmingham University, New York. Georgia.
Institute of Technology. Is that
Georgia? Oh, Georgia Tech. Okay. They just misspelled it. I was like, what the hell am I looking at? What is Georgie? Okay, so Georgia Tech. Florida. I mean,
Florida.
Damn, Tim. I guess Florida's not getting SEC recruits anymore. According to Tim Hyde's logic.
Do they have the standards that Notre Dame does? I can't remember. Go watch Swamp Kings.
Well, it doesn't matter, Tim. They're not going to be able to get any recruits because they're on the public Ivy list. So
really, Mike. So okay,
I'm just using your logic, Tim.
Mike, are you kidding me? What are the standards? What are the standards for the football players there?
Tim, that has nothing to do with what we were just talking about. Dude, you just said being on this list could scare off recruits.
Hey, we'll end this conversation. You want to spin this into this Notre Dame little cuddly little cute cupcake? Go for it. That's what you're trying to do.
I'm not trying to do anything but understand what you said, which was recruits can see that and they are going to think negatively about it. So I'm guessing it's going to be the same for Florida and Illinois and Maryland and Michigan.
Hold on. I'm laughing at it as a damn high school coach who has seen negative recruiting, tons of negative recruiting. I mean, Mike, you probably haven't seen negative recruiting. I've seen it. I've seen messages. I've seen coaches talk in person. I've seen handouts. Are you kidding me? This is right there. So at the end of the
Tim, you don't think I hear about things? I get the report 10% of the things I hear.
Hey, at the end of the day, the goal is to win a national championship. Easy as that. Is Notre Dame recruiting enough of those guys to win a national championship? That's what the goal is.
Oh, I'm with you, Tim. Let's get better players at Notre Dame. I am just talking about what you said, which was it was like a negative thing that they were on this.
Yeah, if you're trying to get some Stephon Tuitt's down south, hell yeah, it is. I'm using Stephon Tuitt as a ranking as a dude, not him as the player, because obviously he did come to Notre Dame. That was 2011. When was the last time Notre Dame got a Stephon Tuitt out of the South? Come on, Mike.
Jalen Sneed?
Come on. I'm talking D lineman. Jalen Sneed's going into year 3 and he's still a backup. Come on.
Hey, don't tell that to Goolsby.
What did Goolsby say? He's a backup.
He loves
Kaiser, starting Bowen, and Sneed's a backup, and he's going to be a hybrid package guy.
Goolsby loves Sneed. You didn't specify. I thought you just meant like a 5-star kid from the South kind of recruitment. which was Jalen Sneed.
Exactly. And now we're going into year 3. Let's see what he does.
But Tim Hyde's all about his 5 stars.
Well, it's not all about 5 stars. It's 5 stars, top 50, top 100. Come on, Mike. Jeez Louise. You follow recruiting like crazy. Are they flocking to go to South Bend for visits? Come on. Come on. Be real sometimes. Be real and tell the truth. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know what truth you want me to tell.
Okay. I know Goolsby said the other day, oh, Tim's complaining about 5 stars. No, I use it as a data point. There's 32 of them, 32 consensus ones on 3. You know how many visited Notre Dame? 5. 1 visited this year. 1 in 2024 visited. 1. So, and where are they all going? To the programs that everyone's picking to be in the top 5.
Okay. So what's your solution?
I don't work in South Bend.
Just call them up more. Call the kids up more.
I don't work in South Bend.
Invite them to campus.
That's on, that's on the football staff. Those are recruiting's not easy. I know it's hard to recruit to Notre Dame. It always has been. That's why Notre Dame fans know that. It's part of the lore of Notre Dame. It is hard, and you accept it.
That's why you win a national championship at Notre Dame in this modern era. You should get a statue right away, in my opinion. No, I have
no problem with that.
What's that?
I said I have no problem with that.
Just win one, man. Yeah.
You got to win one. But if you're the 11th seed or the 10th seed, you're going on the road and you lose. Or if you win, bam, you're instantly playing the 2 or the 3. It's like, man, it's a grind.
Yeah.
It's a grind, Mike.
All right. Well, I did not expect to end the show like that. That was fun.
You sent me there. I didn't even see it. That was my first reaction, was just like, oh boy, more. I looked at it as more negative recruiting for the South. That's all we need.
I mean, again, I would go to, you can negative recruit us being a great school. I'm going to go back and say, well, which school said that against us? Oh, LSU. You want to go get an LSU degree? I was on the Cans from TikTok today.
Those kids aren't buying it, Mike. Are they buying it? I mean, you went to the On3 Elite thing. You said it was like a Notre Dame, puff piece, the 4 for 40 and all that stuff. But those kids aren't buying it because they want to go to the freaking NFL. Right? They
do. But they can get those great life after football things at other schools too. It's not just Notre Dame. So they can get it closer to home sometimes. Like a Florida. Florida's on that list.
Dude, it is exactly.
It's tough to get the recruit to South Bend. Those guys from the South, it is. You know that.
It is hard, exactly, because you got to pull a guy. That's like they're trying to get. Let's just Dallas Golden out of Tampa. Obviously, now with the Taylor thing, he's got to leave like 6. He's got to fly over 6 or 7 SEC schools to get to South Bend. It is hard. It's
hard. But sometimes they do win those. So I'm like, what do you want them to not use their 4 for 40 and not use academics? Because then it's just football tradition in Indiana. Like,
but you have to sell. You have to sell it, and that's the thing. I totally understand it. So you have to sell it. You have to sell that on top of the product, on top of NFL, on top of all these things. It's a grind. It's a grind.
Yeah.
And Freeman has his work cut out for him. Freeman, first-year coach. He doesn't have the huge experience. He doesn't have the resume to be like, trust me. People could be like, why am I trusting you? I could go to this guy or that guy. They've all done it.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
I think in an alternate world, Freeman goes down to LSU and he's the DC there, right? And let's say he did that instead of pick Notre Dame as DC in 2021. And then maybe they hire him as head coach instead of Brian Kelly. Freeman could be just selling Football Factory. We're just going to say to the NFL, screw academic. Like that's very well what he could be doing. But he is at Notre Dame. And when you're at Notre Dame, you have to sell 4 for 40. So
exactly. It takes a special player, especially from the South. And it's hard. That's why this year they're getting some unicorns. They just are. They
Yeah.
could keep Taylor. They keep
But-
obviously with Golden.
Well, I would. So I mentioned this a minute ago. I was scrolling the can and I saw it was a podcast that Will Compton was on, who was awesome at the On3 Elite Series, and he was like, he was talking about this. He was like, the podcast interviewer was like, you play for 8-9 years in the NFL, and people just hear that and say, oh, you must just be infinite loaded amount of money. And I'm thinking to myself, but you have to do something after ball. And I just think that so much of with this crazy NIL era, so many people are pointing to like older people in the football community are pointing to life after football because so many people are just consumed with making money and doing things right now. It's all about the now, the NIL, make it to the league, make as much money now. And a lot of these older folks are stepping in and being like, hey, wait, we got to look to the future as well. We got to set yourself up for the future. So I think that Notre Dame's 4 for 40 pitch, even in this crazy NIL era, is more impactful, at least in the 5 years that I've been covering Notre Dame. And I can't speak to before that really. But
I mean, they've always used it because that's always been the part is the Notre Dame degree, the education, the life after football has been around for ages.
Yeah.
So they're just using it more. And some guys in the chat are saying, the choose hard. It's like, it's tough to tell a 17-year-old to choose hard. It's like, really? I want to go kick ass on the field. You telling me to choose? It's tough, man. It's tough. That's why it's recruit, man. Those guys get paid a lot of money to bring those guys up north. And what did you say? It's Indiana, right? It's trying to get them. It's tough. Yeah. It's a grind, especially even in the Midwest. When you go to Ohio State and you just take online classes for 3 years and lift weights.
Top 10 things about the state of Indiana. That South Bend Airport's got to be in there. I love that place so damn much. I love the South Bend Airport. The last time I was there, I think I spent 6 or 7 hours in that airport, and it felt like 25 minutes. I was just chilling, having a great time. Wi-Fi is decent. It's nice and quiet. The bar, the airport bar, just drink a Miller Lite in there. It's a top 10. It's a top 10 beer that you'll have. That South Bend Airport. You guys know. It's a great beer. So
I like
shower beers.
I got a little hyped up, a little heated when it comes to just these. Mike, it's been a long time, my friend. Do you know, I count 1993, Mike. I was in the freaking Marine Corps, okay? That's how long it's been, Mike. I was in the Marine Corps in 1993, so I'm allowed to get a little frustrated. All right? It's been a long time. A long time. As my wife said, her 4 years, she had all 4 years with Bob Davie, okay? All 4. Goolsby got a little combo. He got 2 different coaches. My wife had all 4 with Davie. So there you go. That's her frustration.
All right. Well, again, did not expect to have the show go that direction. And the last time I said that, we talked for 5 more minutes. So I got to go. Tim, great show tonight. Brought it as always. Some vintage angry Tim Hyde here at the end. So I love that. Folks, if you've not done so, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you are new here. Please go to blueandgold.com for all things Notre Dame football and recruiting coverage. And yeah, if you're listening via podcast, appreciate you as well. Hope you were entertained by the past 78 minutes of chatter. Please leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcast. Appreciate you, everyone. No show Thursday. We've done shows 3 straight days. No show Thursday. We'll be back Friday afternoon. Myself and Kyle Kelly will talk some Notre Dame recruiting. Appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you next time.